I'm at a point in my life where I'm really doing the best that I can to just like not react to my environment. Like when a patient receives a diagnosis in regards to anything, it doesn't matter what it is, they don't have to accept that diagnosis as true, right? So what I notice is that throughout my entire life, as I've reacted to my environment, I've just basically validated everything as truth, right? And when we react to our environment, we're actually making our environment and matter more real than our internal reality and our energy, right? This all has to do with quantum creation versus Newtonian creation. The reason that I brought up matter is because that has to do with Newtonian creation. Trying to do something out there, trying to move things around out there to make something happen. Newtonian. Quantum, working with energies inside of myself, right? And what's interesting is that the more I find myself not reacting to my environment, the more my environment, like, changes. The external is very transient. The environment is very transient. Why? Because it's matter. Matter is transient. Energy is not. So the more I focus on energy and the more I don't react, specifically my energy, and the more I don't react to my environment, the less real my environment becomes. It was wild when I was younger that I used to take everything outside of myself so seriously. The older that I got, the more I realized that it was just noise. It really is. Everything that everyone says, and this does actually go back to what I have talked about in, I would say, the past 2 videos that I've made on YouTube. People are just making noise. They really are. I've chosen to listen to it throughout my entire life and based a lot of my life around it for a very long time. But then I just realized after a while that it's all just noise. It's all just matter, right? But I was very fixated and focused on trying to change and manipulate things outside of myself, and that over there needs to be different so I can feel okay, or that over there, like, no. That, all of these things outside of me will change when I change, right? Main character vibes. Yeah, that's how it works. And so, the less I react to my environment, because just because something is said doesn't mean it's real or true. And I'm not even talking about the information age that we're in, where you go on social media and you don't know what is real anymore. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the half-baked bullshit that people walk around with on a daily fucking basis, because that's what it is. A majority of the things that people present each other with, it's just noise. A majority of it is really just low energy stuff. It's just insecurities, it's fear, it's shame, it's guilt, it's anger, it's frustration, it's 10 years ago. The amount of people, I've been here too, by the way, but the amount of people that wake up with a mindset that is 10 years old. Resentment, fear, grudge, hatred, shame, guilt. It's very easy to allow our environment to control us. That is a belief. caught myself again. But let's just say that it is, right? This is why matter, the external world, an environment to somebody becomes more real than their internal reality. Right? Let's see. Is it true that I am always afraid? Regardless of whether it is or isn't, that isn't really the point here. What the point is that that dynamic itself can actually change. What's causing that dynamic? Well, I could say that what's causing that dynamic is me focusing so much on the external, on the environment, on matter, all of that being these people in my environment, they need to change. They're saying this and that, they're doing this and that, and it's just not okay. It's not okay. So I'm gonna do what I need to do to move things around and manipulate and force and push and control and no, there are other options. You could remove yourself from the environment. You could change your energy so that that no longer messes with you. Which actually reminds me, there's a music group that I appreciate. They're one of my favorites, actually. They go by the name of Odessa. And they have an album called A Moment Apart. And in that album, there is like a spaceman who's up in a ship. And he looks out of a window and he sees the curvature of the earth. And then he hears a ticking sound, like a knocking sound, like that kind of thing. And it's starting to drive him crazy. But then it's said that the only way that he can survive is if he's fallen in love with the sound, right? And every single time, I'm not saying that it's bad to get angry or explore emotions or utilize anything or feel anything. I'm not. But anytime I've ever gotten angry at something that I realized that I didn't really need to, I came out of it and it's like, oh, I fell asleep. It's interesting. But once I really started to just look at myself and realize oh, this is just me. Everything that I see outside of myself that I don't like is a reflection of me. I don't remember who said it, but everything is me pushed out, right? So anything that I don't like on the external, it's just mirroring me. And that's the thing here, too. The other reason why I've stopped, for a far majority at least, reacting to my environment is because I've realized that my environment is just me. Reality is a mirror for me, for everyone, right? So if I react to my environment, it's kind of counterproductive, because with the knowledge that my reality is a mirror of me, right? There's no use in being no, go back in. There's something there that needs to be worked with or worked through. The external will shift when the internal does. And again, I could spend the rest of my life trying to move things out there. It'll be temporary, right? I can spend the rest of my life reacting to my environment, making my environment more real than my internal, making my external environment more real than my internal environment, right? The reason that I see, and I've been in the same boat, the reason that I see so many people having challenges when it comes to like changing their life is because we're so immersed in this 3D reality, right? Like, so many people still don't believe that we're energy or that everything is energy. It's been proven through science. But of course, we're going to continue to make our environment, our external reality, more real than our internal reality because we react to it. We react to this 3D world because we think, what else is there? You know? And so that also keeps us stuck and conforming more to matter than to energy. I've already noticed my energy shifting. I have. And I'm already thinking, feeling, and behaving differently as a result of it. That's my personality, which is creating my personal reality, which is transforming everything. I feel it, right? It's wild that everything came from energy. Everything that we look at, everything came from energy, right? If we want to continue to experience life or start experiencing life in a way that really shows us that our internal world is creating this, we've got to stop reacting to our external reality. Because again, life is a mirror. It's never not been, and it always will be, right? If life has sucked for some people, it's because they created it that way. If there was fear, guilt, shame, anger, frustration, resentment, they created it that way. They can have it differently. They just got to do something that would be considered by many people challenging, which is bring their energy back to themselves. Focus on themselves, work on themselves, create from themselves. That's the difference.